What's going on, guys? My name is AeonAxis. Welcome to another episode of DC Universe Online. Today I'm going to be doing a crash course for beginners. Now, I thought about it long and hard. I decided to make this. Don't get anybody. This is for new players. So, if you're like a a more experienced player, this kind of isn't for you because you probably already know this, but this could be for you too, because I didn't know some of this stuff until I joined a good league. But basically, what you need to do, I'm about to explain what you need to do. All right, so let's just say you just made a character, you chose your power, you chose your class, or you chose your power, you chose your weapon, you chose your movement speed, everything. Make it to the tutorial, fine, good, everything's all well and dandy. Where to go from there? Now, after you finish the tutorial, just follow the missions. Just keep doing your missions that are in your journal right here. They're gonna be under main. It's gonna have a tab called main missions, which is your storyline missions, which is your basically it's your tutorial missions, quote unquote. Because everything, I'm just going to call everything before you get to level 30 tutorial, because it really is. It just teaches you how to play the game. So you follow your missions. You go when you go to the area that your missions are, you're going to want to look around for an NPC with an exclamation point above their head. That gives you your side missions, which gives you these things called source marks. Now what you use, I'll explain what you use the source marks for later. Okay. You want to get as many source marks as you can. Basically, you need source marks to a certain point, up until a certain point, and I'll explain what that point is later. Okay, so now after you finished all your missions and you're level 30, you got inducted into the society, or whatever this is called. You get I'm a villain. I'm a straight villain. I don't play hero. So you either get inducted into the society or you get inducted into the Justice League. Where to go from there? So you have, this is where your source marks come into play. You go to this vendor right here, Mechanical Supply Officer. For villains, it's in front of the phase shifter. I don't know where it is for the heroes. I'm assuming it's pretty close to the phase shifter. So you go in here. It's not going to show anything for me because I'm already too high. But it'll have all the gear that you need to buy with your source marks. And it automatically updates, so you don't have to go to anybody at any other vendor in any other place. Like, I think the first place that you go to get your gear is here after you get to CR 90. Like, you don't have to get your gear from specific vendors. You get it all here. But there's a big caveat to that. I think it doesn't show up until a certain point. You can't use that until a certain point. So what you do then is you go here to this vendor right here in any of the wings. It'll have your CR 46 gear, which is your tier 1 gear, right? Then up here is your tier 2 gear, which is CR 56, and then over here in these vendors over here is your tier 3 gear. So you go like here to get it. Tier 3 gear 78. Now, after you get to CR 90. After you get to CR 90, alright, yeah, I see you. Let me just... Alright, after you get to CR 90, then you go to the Mechanical Supply Officer to get your gear with the source marks. What you want to do... Okay, this might sound confusing at first, but once you get the mission to get your base, right? This is another thing that you need source marks for. I recommend doing this right away, so that way you don't have to do it later. So what you want to do is you want to do all the missions to get your base, right? You can decorate it, you can put shit in it, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter what you put in it. You can put nothing in it, you can put everything in it. But the main thing that you need your base for is this right here. Your mainframe, right? You got your batteries that you have to pay for. You got, okay, that's just people. Alright, so you got these things here. What is this menu? This is your mainframe buffs, or I guess allowances. You have accomplice, which calls a pet or a helper to fight by your side. Henchman is the same thing. It just has just more than one, I think. These are the three main ones that you want. You want orbital strike, is like a second supercharge. You want supply drop, which when you call down a supply drop, it gives you like 5 or 6 like spheres that surround you wherever it dropped, and it gives you health and power. Now this can be used by anybody. So when you're in the middle of an instance, right? If you got your mic on, you could be like, supply drop on me. Everybody comes to you to get more power, more health, right? And you got tactical mods. What tactical mods are is gear. The gear you have is going to have these little socket things. Feet socket, hands socket, head socket, neck socket, back socket, chest socket, leg socket. They're just little buffs that you get from having, you know, a member. Basically, it's buffs that you get from having a membership, because you can't use base until you have a membership. So the reason why I said to do this right away is because it takes a lot of source marks. So each one of these two like first ones, they both cost 25, right? So that's 50. That's 150, and these last ones are 7 each. These first two last forever. You never have to buy those again. But these ones you have to refill every 60 days. So you gotta keep in mind that you need, every 60 days, you need at least 7 source marks per one that you need to refill. I don't use these two. I just think it's a waste, because I already have pets, and Gadgets has a pet in its arsenal, which is a suppressor turret. So I don't need extra pets. But yeah. This is what when you have everything you need from there, your utility belt should look something like this. It should have your trinket that buffs your might and your weaponization and your precision, or whatever trinket that you need, like the healer trinket, then you got the troll trinket, and you got the tank trinket and stuff like that. You got your uplink device, which is your orbital strike, which is like a second it's like a second supercharge. You can get different styles, but your base one is going to be like a beam that comes down from the sky. Supply drop. This is what supply drop looks like. It'll just come down and surround you with spheres. And then you got a pet. I highly suggest having a pet in your orbital, or in your utility belt. Anyway, next thing is your tactical mods are going to come out of this dispenser here, plus your supply drop and your orbital strike. Once you buy everything, you just dispense one of each of those, and then you choose whatever ones you want. Now you're going to need to redo it once you put a new piece of gear on. So keep that in mind. So like if you're in the middle of a raid, say, and a piece of gear drops that you need that's better than the one you have, you might not want to equip it, because the effect that your gear gives you with your sockets or your tactical mods could be better. Alright, so that's it for the base. That's all you need to use the base for. Oh, no, it's not. There's one more thing. Your generator mods right here down here. This is where you equip your armory belts. I won't get into that because I don't really use it. This is where you replace your batteries, and this is where you have your things called generator mods. Alright, so when you're doing content, some things you might get loot that's generator mods, right? So this one here is your teleporters. They really don't matter. This one here is your health or power mods. Depending on what power you are, or depending on what role you are, you're going to want different ones here. So tanks are going to want health. Might DPS are going to want power, and then so on and so forth. Your controllers and healers are going to want power, you know, so on and so forth. But if you're weapon DPS, my voice cracked. What am I, 13? Anyway, for weapon DPS, you're going to want health here because of, in case you're running Cog of Mageddon, it gives you it buffs your precision according to how much health you have. So this actually helps you with your damage if you have health here. Now down here, or support, is your dominance and vitalization. I don't really need those because I go straight DPS. I'm not a support role. I will work on that once my DPS is good, adequate. And down here, you're gonna want this is where your might and your precision mods are gonna go in. So right, if you're might DPS, you want to put your might mods on. If you're precision DPS, you put your precision here. If you're hybrid, you can go like 2 might, 2 precision. If you're tank, you're probably going to want to go might. If you're controller, you probably want to go with precision, depending on what builds you are. Healer, you're going to want to go precision, so on and so forth. Affinity, that only takes account, that only, how do I want to put it? That only matters if you have elite gear. And since this video is for beginners, I'm not going to go into that. Okay, what next, right? Say you get all that stuff, what do you do next? Well, I'm about to tell you. Well, I need to warp to Hall of Doom, please, thank you. Okay, so what to do next, right? After you use your source marks to get all that stuff, then I suggest you get your gear up. You get to oh god, it's that guy. Sorry, I have bad history with that guy. Anyway, so you use your gear, you use your source marks to get your gear. Then you are, you're set for a while until you get to right around 250. See, combat rating 253. Hold on. Well, hold on. I need to check something. It'll be CR rating 253. Yeah. All right. So once you CR 253, you're gonna be in a DLC called Justice League Dark. Now, Justice League Dark has it's where you start to get the really good artifacts. Now, what are artifacts? Well, they're extra items that you can equip that gives you certain buffs and certain effects. Now, bear with me. It might be confusing the first time you hear it. You might have to pause it and go back and rewatch. Artifacts. You want to choose 3 artifacts that buff the way you want to play the most. I don't know anything about all the other roles. I know DPS. So what I have is I have Grimorium Verum, Strategist card, and Transformation card. These last 2, they're from Metal Part 2, which is the current hold on. Oh, I hate when it does that. Oh, I hate when when you feel like it's a sneeze, but it's a yawn. Anyway, so I have those 2 are from Metal Part 2, which is your current. Sorry, it's the current DLC. This one is from Justice League Dark, which is one of the best. Which is one of the best damage artifacts. It is the best damage artifact. It is the best damage artifact. Sorry, I can't talk this morning for some reason. It is the best damage artifact because it gives you a pet that gives you free passive damage without you having to do anything. Plus, do you see down here where it says 5% precision and 5% might? That means this artifact is good for weapon DPS, which is precision, and your superpower DPS, which is might. I apologize, I'm dying right now. Let me get a cough drop. Okay. Now, your artifacts are going to start at rank 0. And you go to the fortify menu to level them up. Well, there's this stuff called nth metal, which drops when you kill enemies. You use that. Sorry, you use that when you put the artifacts into your fortify. It'll have a menu on this side of the thing with all the metal that you have. So you just click on it. It'll go into these 5 slots, and you hit. Once you have these 5 slots, you hit fortify, and the rank will go up. When you get to the breakthrough rank, which means you can't put any more metal into it, you have to get these things called catalysts. You have to buy them with source marks to break it through. Now, what I suggest is to get all of your artifacts that you're going to use to level 80, which is going to give you your first effect, which is the first level that you're going to actually get your effects from your artifacts. Now, it does take a lot of source marks. It takes about 500. It may seem like a lot, but if you're playing every day, it's really not. You got your weekly missions, which reset every week. You got your daily missions that reset every day. You got your daily on-duty stuff, which resets every day, and you got your weekly on-duty stuff, which resets every week. Plus, if you have a little bit extra money to spend, you can buy source marks from the marketplace. So to get your catalysts, you come over here to John Constantine. This is explained in the. This will be explained in your original. This will be explained when you get to level 20, I think, when you get your first artifact. So you come over here. You buy your catalysts, yada yada yada. Break it through, yada yada yada. Get your artifacts up, yada yada yada. Also, I suggest you use Seal of Preservations when you break it through. That way, it's almost like it'll protect your source marks from, or you'll protect your catalyst from being consumed if you fail a breakthrough. Now, after that, what you want to do is once you want to go to each of your places every day and do your daily missions. Your daily missions reset at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Now, whatever that is for you, you can convert it. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, whatever. So you got all these missions, these daily missions here. You do that, right? You get gear from it. Now, you take the gear that you are not using. Let me do something here. You don't want to destroy the gear that you're not using. You want to keep the gear that you're not using because you're going to use it. And I'll explain why in a bit. I just need to do something real quick so I can actually show you. Alright, so I needed to unimprint the stuff that I had in my inventory because you can't do what I'm about to do if it's imprinted on your armories. I really need to know how to get rid of the armories because it's kind of annoying that I have to do it every time I get new gear. But you take your gear all the way down to the end of whatever wing. All 3 wings have this. It's called the workstation, right? Research and development. You go over to this little tab called salvaging, right? And you salvage all your gear, and it's going to give you these things called exobytes. You take your exobyte. I don't have any exo material. Oh yeah, I do. I mean, you can upgrade them if you want, if you have exo materials, which gives you more experience. You take them over here to your origin augments. Now, I didn't explain this until now because this is the point where you really need to focus on them. Your origin augments are things that you equip over here to give you more stats. Right? You got mighty, precise. Mighty, which gives you might. Precise gives you precision. Dominating gives you dominance. Vital gives you vitality or vitalization. And restoring gives you restoration. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory. You take your exobytes that you have and you come over here and you put them into your fortify menu and you use it just like you would with the metal and the artifacts. Do not use metal for your augments because you can't use exobytes for your artifacts. You need to save all your metal for your artifacts. Use your exobytes for your augments. Now I already have all 4 of my origin augments max level. It increases 10 levels for every DLC that comes out. So when I go up here, what I have to do now is to get my adaptive augments and raise them. They're basically the same thing, but like new ones come out for every DLC. So these are this one's for the Titans, the Titan Island one. This one is for the Atlantis one, and then this one is for Metal Part 2. Alright. This gives you more stats too. Basically, okay, let me just explain one thing for you. Your gear your augments and your artifacts all give you base stats, right? So you see down here, you see over there where it says 1019 health, 2140 power. It'll give you buff to your base stats. So you go to here, it'll give you 4619 defense, 6833 health, yada yada yada. That is your base stats, right? Then your artifacts gives you percent buffs on top of that. So say you have 20,000, or say you have 10,000 might, and you have a 5% buff to your might. So your 10,000 is your base might, and your 5% of 10,000 is 500. So it raises your might by 500, which is that is a significant amount when you're talking about your damage output, because your damage output is basically it's like a formula that based on your might stat. My might right now is 48,092, and that's from everything. Okay, so you also get base stats and percent buffs from these things called skill points. Now, you get skill points by leveling up, and so you get 30 free skill points for leveling up to level 30, right? And after that, it's only from feats that you get skill points. So every 100 feet points, you get 1 skill point. Feats are things that you do in the game, like, let's just do Fight for the Light. Complete Owen science cells in 20 minutes or less. Defeat Scion of Will. It's basically your achievements. Your achievements or your trophies and whatnot. Now, you use your skill points, right, to... Nope. You use your skill points to spec into your weapon skills, and you use your skill points to spec into your movement like abilities. Then you use your skill points to spec into iconic powers, which is just powers that every character can get based on iconic powers from DC, like the heat vision, stuff like that. And then you also have your skill points can be used for stat points. Now, I'm not going to get into it too much because this is more of an advanced thing. But weapons expert is when you want to do damage weapon DPS only. Hybrid is when you're doing a mix of might attacks and weapon attacks. Superpowered is just superpower attacks. So, I choose superpowered because I only do superpower attacks. Then, I'm going at this from a pure DPS standpoint, so I apologize if you're playing a support role. So what you do is, first of all, you put 1 point into here, then you're going to put 20 points into this one, then you're going to put 40 points into this one, which you can read on the left side what it actually does. It gives you a critical, it ups your chance to do a critical ability or a critical attack. This increases the damage that your critical attacks do. Now this is for weapon DPS. After, it'll be like this, and this if you're weapon DPS. But for might, it's going to be this, and this down here, which is might and power. So as you can see, every level it gives you a certain amount of an extra certain amount of base stat. Right now I have 1,273 power, 339 might, and 679 weaponization rating. I won't get into weaponization rating because it's kind of weird. So you get 10% power. Every 10 levels, you'll gain 1%. Gain a 1% buff, right? Until 100, until you get to 10%, which is the last one. So that also adds to your buffs that your artifacts gives you. Now, I'm pretty sure, you know what? I think that's it. That's just a basic crash course. There are certain things that you do want to do every day. So you go over here to your event tab, right? You want to run your stabilizer fragmentation every day. It gives you stabilizer fragments to open, that eventually forms into a stabilizer to open your time capsules, which gives you very valuable stuff. Very valuable stuff, I will say that. You want to run your vault every day, which gives you money and metal to upgrade your artifacts. And then you want to run this the last Son of Krypton every day, because that gives you a lot of metal as well. Now, I do believe that's it. Yeah, if you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Link to my Patreon is down in the description below. Thank you guys so much. I will see you all in the next video. This is AeonAxis signing out.